welcome to my weekly blog. We're going to start with prayer requests because we've got quite a few. I've heard online from Ben, who is Preach from the Forum, and I didn't know, but his grandmother has been having problems recently. Apparently some sort of digestive blockage, I think. But that appears to be sorted. So I think that's probably an answer to prayer, although it's not a prayer request that I had known about. Mike Hayes said something on Facebook which was a bit weird, and that's that he has had diagnosed a brain tumour, but that it's benign. So I'm sure that's caused a lot of stress for him, because I'm not sure that originally he knew what that was. Apparently he's still able to fight. I think he's even fixed a date, so I'm glad everything has worked out there. On the forum we've had a prayer request from Bone Dog, who has an 11-year-old friend called Isaac, who had an accident in the home last week. Serious accident. He stopped breathing. I believe he's probably gone into intensive care. He's beginning to recover. He's responding to stimulus, and I believe now that he's breathing unassisted. So in one respect we've got to pray for that situation, but in another respect I think that is going well. Prayers for this week. TFT, we are praying for the whole month of September for St Andrew's Church in Bebington, which is on the Wirral near Liverpool. And this week we are praying for the Christian Aid. It says Thursday is International Literacy Day. Please pray this week for Christian Aid's projects that help adults and children to learn. Education is key to tackling poverty, giving people dignity, power and confidence. Without it, people remain ignorant of their rights and can be exploited. So we're praying especially for women who are denied education and suffer discrimination because of it. Primary school age children who aren't in school. It says there is an estimated 92 million of them. Praying for the education of girls so they resist the pressure to marry too young. Christian Aid project providing basic literacy, and governments to act and create policy that ensures everybody can have access to education. I have one prom listed as being important this week. It is prom number 74. Prom number 74 is the last night of the proms. It's happening at 7:30 PM at the Royal Albert Hall, and that is Saturday the 10th of September. And it's got some fantastic things on it, apart from the usual, which includes Elgar, Parry, and all the things, all the patriotic British songs that you would expect from last night at the proms. I have 3 fighters fighting this week. Levon Maynard, who is my favourite sucker punch fighter outside of Jens Pulver. Dan Hornbuckle and James Krause are all fighting this next week, so best wishes to all of them. Last week I mentioned that Joey Dial was fighting. You might like to know that he won via submission. However, he did get quite badly cut in the process. I'm sure winning outweighs the cut, but I've seen pictures of it, and I'm sure it needed stitches. The only other thing I want to mention is something in the news this week, and that's that Wootton Bassett, which is a town near an airbase, has been heavily involved in repatriation ceremonies for the last 3 years, which means basically it's on a route between the base and wherever deceased soldiers end up being laid, which means that they've basically seen every single coffin passed through that town in the last 3 years, and they started to commemorate this, and it grew from a small group of people who would sort of line the streets as the cortege passed, to the entire town coming to a standstill whenever the corteges were passing through. They are now moving back from whence they came to a different airbase, which means that Wootton Bassett is no longer going to be, obviously, on the repatriation route. In a way, that's good because they're going back where they belong, but it's also a bit sad because that was a non-political and quite spontaneous show of patriotism and respect to the armed forces that, of course, isn't going to continue now. I did watch on the news their sunset ceremony where they, brought down the flag, and they're sending the flag to be flying in a garden, which is on the repatriation route at the new airbase. But I don't suppose you can force things like that to happen. They either happen spontaneously, or they look a little bit political and staged. My next blog will come to you live on the 10th anniversary of the date that changed the world, the Western world certainly, because next week will be the 10th anniversary of the September 11th attacks on the US. So I don't know how the US and the Obama administration plan on commemorating that. I know they always have a ceremony each year, but I don't know if they're doing something a little larger for the 10th anniversary or not. But that will probably be the subject of next week's blog. You might notice that there are a few changes going on to the weekly blog. There are now opening credits and closing credits, and in fact there will in fact be very shortly little sort of advertisement teasers, so to speak, of upcoming events that I'm taking part in at the end of each blog, sort of probably starting next week or as soon as I can create them. So there we are. That's it for this week.